Hello, Pirate Nation. Coach Hud here for the second episode of the Greg Hudson Show, and we have a big guest that everybody in Eastern North Carolina knows. We have the C.J. Wilson here from North Pitt High School, the head coach, and we're really excited to have him join us today.
This is the Greg Hudson Show.
Hey, welcome in to another special edition of the Greg Hudson Show. Jonathan Ellerby here today, and Coach Hudson, we're back at it. And man, you gone to the Rolodex, but you found somebody local, and you found somebody to come join us in the studio. I'll let you introduce and do the honors of who's in the studio with us today.
Well, we're very fortunate. Thanks, John. We have the mayor of Belhaven here with us today. Probably as big a star in Eastern North Carolina football. A great Pirate. We have C.J. Wilson, who was kind enough to join us with his busy schedule over at North Pitt. And C.J., welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you.
C.J., great to have you back at Pirate Radio. It's been a while. I think when you walked in, I showed you a picture that you autographed of you that was in the alumni magazine many years ago of you tackling Ben Roethlisberger in the Super Bowl. So you're an East Carolina legend, an Eastern North Carolina legend. As Coach Hud just mentioned, let's get people up to speed with what C.J. Wilson is up to today.
Well, I do remember coming here years ago. I think the setup was different. They had tables and a round table.
Oh yeah, we've evolved a little bit.
I know. And but what I've been up to since my football days, I guess you could say, I'm now married. I have a daughter who's 3 years old, and I have a son on the way. She's due October, so 2 months. So we're getting ready for a son, and just enjoying the married life. It's different from being single and married, and coaching. Played football since I was 9 years old, but the coaching it's a different aspect. Playing it and coaching is two different things. It's the truth, and I'm really enjoying it.
Well, that's good. I mean, you talk about the transition and going from playing and you jumped into matrimony, and then you threw in something that doesn't always correlate with matrimony is getting to the coaching profession. And maybe I probably told you it wasn't a good idea at some point in your life. But tell us what's been the biggest transition for you in becoming the coach from the player.
The biggest transition, I would say, is it's so much more that goes into coaching than it is playing. For instance, I watched how much time I put into game planning this week alone, the hours I spent watching the film, the hours I spent watching just one play. And to show the guys, they see it for 2 seconds and they go out and practice, and then they go home and be on Instagram and TikTok and and I just say, wow, but I know it's going to carry over to the field. So it's just so much more that goes into the detail as a coach than it is a player.
Do you see those kids that you're with at North Pitt now, and do you look at some of those guys, or hopefully all of them, and say, here I am, I started in the Super Bowl, but I started as a 2-star recruit, and I want to meet the guy that gave you the 2-star because he didn't know what he was doing. Do you see the opportunity there for these kids to flourish like you did?
Yes, sir. In today's time, the game has changed. It's different. And I'm trying to instill in the kids that, I was a 2-star, 1A football player, but I did everything. And I knew I couldn't come off the field. I knew I had to give everything I had in order for us to win or have a chance to win it. Because I knew that a few guys beside me wasn't as good as you would hope they would to be,
Right.
So a lot of guys now, this generation is a microwave generation, So I can honestly say I came from old school, 2-a-day practices, and so I'm trying to dig deep and trying to show them we're gonna work hard, and that's the only way you're gonna accomplish anything, no matter if it's football or in school or in life. Period. You got to work hard for it, and so that's the biggest thing now. I see guys that have opportunity, but the work ethic, I had to change them and I had to push them. I had to push them so hard, but I know it's gonna pay off for them, and they'll thank me for it years from now.
Absolutely.
You got one of your former coaches in here. I'll get his opinion in a second of how coachable CJ was. Talk. Your high school coach was a young CJ Wilson, a sponge, and as you mentioned your work ethic and stuff. How coachable were you in high school, and what do you remember at that stage in your life now that you're pouring into those guys every day at North Pitt?
See, it's coaching is already, it starts at home with your parents, because they coach me first to respect adults, to do what I'm told to do. No talking back. Never talk back to my parents, because I already knew what was going to happen to me. And so in life, I just did what I was told to do. I didn't like it always, but I did what I was told to do. And I had a coach that was from the old school. He didn't play around. He didn't play with you. He didn't play around. And just the way he made us lift weights, we was doing stuff that I know other people weren't doing. Deadlifts like every day. And my back was sore. It was so sore. I'm like, why is my back sore every day? But I did it. He's like, you got to do this.
Because I said so.
Yes. And so on the practice field, he was a guy that just didn't play around. And I thought he was probably one of the meanest guys I ever met, But then I got to know him years, and he just became, his talks. He was always tell you stuff about life. And I think about it all the time. It's because it was true. Everything he said was true. And then when I got to college, those deadlifts came in handy, because my back I never had back problems ever, and my back was strong. And so if you do what you're told and you do it at a high level, just like in your job, good things happen. And so that's what I was took from my father and my mother, is that you do what you do, and they do it the hardest you can do it, and good things happen.
That is so encouraging to hear that you said it started at home first, and that's probably a big ingredient that's missing with a lot of these kids. With the single parents, and some of them are living with grandma, and you're trying to get them to practice, and it's really encouraging to know that right here in our backyard, that what a coach taught you many years ago, it helped you get through college.
It did,
which I know wasn't easy, because your D coordinator was a pain in the butt. And then you're now instilling that to a whole new generation, and it's going to pay off. And you're doing the same thing at home now with your kids. That's really encouraging. That's one of the things that got me into coaching, was to hopefully have that influence on people. And it started with my mom and dad not taking any crap, and you're going to do as you're told. You're going to show up on time. You're going to do little things the right way. And then you get all this tech and all this stuff involved in athletics, but then you go back to the core principles of where it started, and it's what you learned from your parents, how you were treated at home, how you respected adults and stuff like that. That's so great to hear that you're doing that over at North Pitt. I didn't know, and I watched you on high school film, but I read through your bio, and I don't remember all of this, but it said linebacker, cornerback, safety, running back, tackle, and fullback. Did you play running back and fullback at the same time? Probably not, but I know you could have, because we called CJ Wilson in recruiting a must-get, but we also called him Fast Times because of the movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High. If you've seen it, in the football scene, there's one guy tackling everybody in the stadium. So we didn't know guys' names. We called one guy Purple Socks, and one guy, everybody uses a number. We called CJ Fast Times until I finally met him.
Yeah.
He walked in the door, and I think I walked up and hugged you. And I was like, this is our guy. This is who we're going to build the defense around. And we're so glad that you chose East Carolina. What led into that coming to ECU?
East Carolina is, around here is the place that you want to be. It was an honor to even have a chance to go to East Carolina. But it's a crazy story how things happen, because you guys had just got to East Carolina. And my uncle, he used to be coaching at Fayetteville State. He was good friends with one of the coaches on the staff. And he told him, said, man, I got a nephew like 30 minutes from you guys. It was really an hour. And he came down there, and he said, okay, you don't got the grades, but you got size. You could play it. I was coachable. So we're going to do what we can to get you here. And I got a chance to meet Coach Holtz, yourself, and Coach Rock. That was never tell you about that first. and it was, and then I just just did what they told me to do, and the rest is history. I would say.
Who gave you the close? I mean, I guess it sounded like you really wanted to come to East Carolina, but what really was like, I'm all in? When was that moment?
You know what? At the end of the day, I mean, I didn't. I always ask God, what do I do? And that's when, this is a true story. I was like, God, I don't know what to do with my life. My dad said either go to military, go to college, play sports or something. I didn't know. So I prayed. I was like, God, what do you want me to do in my life? And then the next day, Coach Thompson comes to the school and says, we looking at recruiting you. And I said, okay, that's where God want me to go, then I go. And that's how it happened. And met, like I said, Coach Hudson and everything. And they seemed to like me. And I wanted to play football, no matter where it was at. But to go to East Carolina, that's like, who gonna turn that down? It's not like it is today, you know, with the transfer portal and everything. Even if it was, this is purple and gold, pirate country. And it was just a joy, you know, to meet Coach Host and Coach Hud. You know, just wow, I was starstruck. You know,
when everybody says C.J. Wilson, they think of, just the absolute monster you were on that defensive line that won championships and also going on winning the Super Bowl. Great, professional career. But what was it like, C.J. Wilson, who first stepped on campus as a freshman and had to deal with this guy, Greg Hudson? What was that C.J. Wilson like? That's what I want to know.
You know, you come in the room and you judge. You could tell who was the boss by how everybody else acts, and so I knew when Coach Hud came in. I knew when Coach Hud came in and how everybody set up in their seat, and everybody was like, he was like nobody, messed with Coach Hud. Like, I'm not lying to you. Like, Skip had a way. Don't get me wrong, but Skip was kind of, he was loose and he had a good demeanor. Everybody loved Skip, but Coach Hud, they respected Coach Hud. They knew.
Is that out of fear?
Fear, but I won't just say fear because Coach Hud we loved him because he would rip you and then give you a cake. Am I lying, Coach? Nope. He will rip you and to shreds and make you feel that small, but he would tell you, I love you.
Did he make you that small one time?
Oh, plenty of times. He told me, I don't even repeat some of the stuff he told me, but I knew he loved us because he did. I seen him cry countless times over different guys. And I saw him my first time, him interacting with Quentin Cotton, and he was on him hard. And he was, because Quentin was throwing up, he was just cursing at him and, But I also saw him hugging him and loving him, and I saw how loyal, and I'm not lying to you, it's not too many guys that wouldn't run through a wall for Coach Hud. And that's the kind of atmosphere I was around, the guys, And so when I got to East Carolina, Coach Hud said, you better go to class. I went to class, and I did it, And so I didn't know what to expect because coming from a small high school to a big university, I just did what I was told to do, and I just did it. They told me to go to class. They told me to do this, be here at this time. I did it. And it's people make it harder than what it has to be. But if you just do what you're told to do and you do it and give it all you got, good things always come out of it. And I got a second chance, and I said, I wasn't going to let it go. And so I went to class, and one of my one of the awards I'm most proud of anything is the Terry Brook Award, and that's what having a 3.5 GPA my freshman year, redshirt freshman year. I had a 3.5. I carried it, and I started about 8 games that season, and I carried it. And I said, I can do this. And so going back to it, football, school, I just did what I told them. And the first time I looked outside, I was in study hall. I couldn't be with the guys. Mm-hmm. And I saw all these purple jerseys come out. It was about 20, then another 20, another 30. I was like, what in the world? And then I saw white jerseys coming out. I said, now who is this? Because, one age is always the same color. Yeah. And I saw it was over 100-some guys coming to the field. I said, why am I here? Where am I going to play? And I called my brother. He was like, man, he said, just trust me. You get a chance. You don't fear about all those guys. Just do what he told you to do. You'll be fine. And so it was a joy. And that's all I said about that.
Yeah, then you persevered through that freshman year. And one thing that I thought we had a really good system with the guys we needed to get through that first year. We met with you. We saw you every day.
Every day.
You came. We had you come by the office, and you come in and see the defensive staff. And I don't even think we talked about school. We just want to know how you were doing, what we could help you with, if you had a problem with anything. I think that set the foundation. And then you don't start your sophomore year until about the fourth game, and you replace Marcus. And I think the guy from Fast Times at Ridgemont High showed up. My question at halftime, Skip looked at me and was like, why wasn't he playing in September? And you had a great game. I think it was at Tulsa.
Yes, sir. I remember that.
You had about 8 tackles, a couple sacks. I think you blocked a kick, and we're like, I remember saying to Rock and those guys said, if he's ever standing next to me during the game, somebody's going to get fired, and it's going to be me. So he needs to be in the game. And I think that first game you got in there, and everybody said, oh, man, now we are on to something. And not only did you change the way we were playing defense, but everybody saw what you brought to the table, and they said, I got to keep up with this guy.
Wow.
So we talked about you, and we used to say we set the tone by the strong. And we don't teach to that. We teach to the toughest guy that has to learn, but we set the tone by the strong, and that's what we did when we put you in there. And I remember Donnie Thompson said, he said, look at these guys.
He did.
And he said, we need them on the field. And we told Skip, we're just going to play everybody. We're going to get them out there. And you turned it on, and the rest was history.
And then in my mind, I'm thinking, I suck. I'm just trying to learn. I don't know. This is my first time playing D-line. I never played it. He called us a position. I never played it. And so it was hard to learn how to not just come out, stand up straight like a linebacker and then read it. It was tough. But I remember him saying that I remember we had to play, I don't know if Virginia was my first year or not, but I remember Coach Hud on the sideline like, look, we are all young in the game. This is all like freshmen. Scotty, Nick, the young J. Ross. We was all, and he was like, we're going to be good because we playing these young guys at an early age, and we got them out there playing, and they learning, and it happened. And I remember that too, and that's the thing about it. I think a lot of guys did play and got experience, and I think that's what was maybe the biggest difference too, because we had a lot of guys that could play.
Yeah, we had one year we lettered 8 linebackers.
I remember that.
We had 8 guys letter, which is unheard of, and we were playing 8 guys up front and giving everybody a role. But you were the marquee recruit that we had. You were the guy we wanted to build a defense around. Obviously, we didn't tell you that.
Yeah.
And we really just turned you loose. And what then, when we started getting to the success point, how did you feel? When did the leadership part, when did you realize, I need to start leading more? I need to be the guy out front of this. When did that hit your brain?
You know what? I was one of those leaders behind the scenes, I would say. I was never a rah-rah kind of guy, breaking it. I didn't never really, because I came from 1A high school, and I always thought of myself as, I'm doing whatever it takes to stay on this team and be something. So I was always a humble person, behind the scenes. I was cocky. I knew I had talent, but I know that I had to work because it took work to get there, and I always felt like I had to work to stay. But I realized, once Marcus Hands was gone and Shantae Hunt, Zach Slate had graduated, and I was like, I'm only a sophomore, junior, but I'm really the oldest, on the line, me and Scotty. So it was one of those things that I wanted to be a leader by not just talking it, but actually doing it. So being a leader that people can say, okay, he's doing it, so I know I got to do it.
Right.
And so just doing it the right way, like I keep going back to the same thing. If you do it the right way, good things will happen. So when I'm in a locker, I'm always the same person. So I'm talking to guys about going to school, going to class, talking about the good stuff, not drinking and going downtown and doing all that craziness. I'm talking to them about football, God, life, and I would say that's a huge, because you need your rah-rah guys, but you also need the guys that's talking about other things, helping the guys stay on the right track, pointing them in the right direction. Because the same thing, when I was in 1A, I kind of felt the same way after a while, like, okay, I know I have to be a baller, I got to play, but I need these guys to play too. So it's almost like what do I need to do to help my teammate to be better? I'm gonna do it. When I'm talking to him about teaching him about, look, man, the double team. I'm gonna make sure I squeeze the gap so the C gap is not so wide, so the linebacker can come down there and make that play. Because I want to do the best I can do, so I can help my teammates. Right. So I was more of a leader that was in the background. I didn't do a lot of talking on rah. I was like the last one. I used to look around on game day. And I remember you said something about that too, a ferret. I know you remember the ferret speech.
Can we hear a little bit of the ferret speech, or is it?
Went to. I was in the pet store with my daughter and my wife, and I saw a ferret. I burst out laughing. She said, "Why are you laughing?" Because I never seen a ferret before. He said,
I was sticking them on the lockers.
He said, so one day, I never seen a ferret before, but he used to always say ferret. And the lady was with. I said, "What kind of animal is this? It looks funny." She said, "It's a ferret." and I bust out laughing. My wife said, "Why are you laughing?" And I told her the story. She didn't get it. So Coach Hud says one day, he's like, "We got a lot of ferrets on this team." And I was like,
"What's a ferret?"
Yeah. He goes, "You know what a ferret is good for? Nothing."
I said 2 words: eating and crap.
Yeah,
that's all they do.
That's all.
They eat and crap.
I don't forgot. I was like,
you guys started calling Marcus Hand started calling the D-line section Ferretville.
Yeah.
And then I took the pictures of a ferret one time and stuck them on.
He did do that.
Stuck them on
he was putting them on. Oh, guys was mad about that. Like,
ferret
it was,
of the week.
Yeah, ferret. And I saw that. So it's amazing that all the stuff that he says and teaches you don't forget. Because it made sense. You get older, you say, okay, that's the truth. And so I didn't want to be a ferret, and I know that. And I remember, so if I say he would laugh all day because I remember no names, but we had this guy who was supposed to be blitzing. The guy he was like, what? He was so pissed. He was like, we called a blitz. And he would I seen him get so angry. I mean, seriously. Break stuff. You don't remember that?
Drop stuff. I didn't really break.
Yeah, okay.
Accidentally drop stuff.
You remember that guy? A couple of linebackers that didn't blitz, and and you was like, we called a blitz, and he saw the blitz, but he went late. Oh man! And so now that I'm coaching, I can go back and think about how he was thinking. Like, golly, I can remember now, like why he was so mad, and stressful job.
It's stressful. So I gotta ask.
Yeah.
Were you ever a ferret of the week? And who were some of the best ferrets of the week? Can we drop any names of your former guys?
We might have to keep those in the locker room. We'll keep that in the locker room.
I would say I was never a ferret of the week. I got close.
You got close?
I got close because the standard that they pushed, after I showed them what I can do, I guess you could say, and I knew what I can do. If I ever went below my standard, they was pissed. And they pushed me. They knew after a while. Okay, so if I ever didn't get sacks or tackles, and I'm just, laying on guys and they gonna let me have it. So I would say that's a ferret for me. If I didn't play my best game every game, it was a ferret.
You called yourself a ferret. You knew that you had to do better.
Oh, I knew.
This was not on the script.
This is good. This is good stuff.
We forgot about Ferretville.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to start asking some other guys.
I'm gonna say this the truth though. The only thing I ever feared in football was at East Carolina. One thing I always feared. It kept me up at night before the game. I'm not making this up. The only thing I feared was if I was gonna get so tired. Because Coach Hud told me one time you remember that he said CJ at 40% is better than the guy behind him at 100. You probably don't remember that. And oh man, I was like, okay, I know I can do. I'm gonna be fine, but I just got to make sure I'm in shape.
Yeah.
And so I tell the guys now, it's like, look, I'm gonna try my hardest to get you. And I know how they felt. Now I do know. I look back now, but that's the only thing that I feared. I didn't want to get too tired.
Well, we took care of that at the beginning of practice. Our motto was get right. We had conditioning supersedes everything. Was sort of our philosophy.
Whoever invented that hate?
Rick Smith.
Get right was before you even start practice. Get your mind right. And we used to have this thing that we all kept tabs on Coach Hud. And the linebackers they would always, I don't know if he caught onto it. We'd be like, is he in a good mood today? Nah, he's in a bad mood today. Oh my
It
God!
was like a stock report after the meeting.
Well, what was the ratio of good mood HUD, bad mood HUD?
He just didn't know.
Was it 50-50 or was it like?
I would say Coach Hud was never a mean guy. He's not a mean guy at all. And you love him more than you hate him. I promise you that. So I would say 70-30. 70-30 means 70 is you having a good day. 30%, you just wish you didn't play for the Pirates that time.
Well, the one day I know everybody was in a good mood was when the Pirates destroyed West Virginia. Tell us about your experience.
So we about to play West Virginia, and it's another thing that Coach Hud taught us. He comes in the meeting, he goes, you know, guys, what makes this team ranked, he goes, they're good on special teams, they're good on offense, and they're good on defense. They don't have many holes. That's why they're so good. So in order for us to win this game, we got to play our best in every aspect. No matter what aspect, special team, defense, and we got to set the tone on defense. So he goes, I've been watching film, and I noticed this and that. So what we're gonna do this week, we're gonna go half jet. We're like, what's the half jet? You know, and so he's teaching us what we're gonna do and do what you're told to do. He tells me, CJ, when they running back into your side, I want you to surf. If the running back is away from you, I want you to get upfield and set the edge. And I was like, okay, that sounds pretty easy, you know. And we go through it, and man, okay, so day before the game we get there, and Coach Hud, you know, all week he's been preparing us mentally. It was a mental win before we got on the field, because he was saying he had us so ready to go on defense. And so the game day was the first thing we do on defense, and we just screaming it. Run to the ball. Who runs it? And it gets me my blood boiling right now. The quotes he get, I'm not lying to. And he had us. I knew I was going to dominate, because that's when you love a guy like Coach Hud, you're going to do whatever. You know what I'm talking about, Coach?
Yes.
I would run through this wall for him, and that's what we did. And we did our job. We didn't make mistakes, many, and we kicked their tail because the game plan was tight and was ready.
We had a bonding moment. I don't know if he remembers it. He's right. We knew. Well, as a defensive coordinator, there was a period that I was like, "Is this going to work? Is this going to?" I don't know, because nobody done it. Mm-hmm. So there's about a minute and a half or 2 minutes left in the game, and they got the ball, and they're just driving to get a score, and there's a TV timeout, and I call the guys over. And we always had our huddle organized. Everybody knew where to stand and stuff like that. And guys are just, you could see the excitement on their face. I mean, they were elated. I mean, it was every guy just, their chest was out. They felt good. And I'm just standing there, and I looked at everybody, and I said, okay, the camera could be on us. We're probably on national TV right now. And I've got nothing to say to you. I do not know what to say to you. I'm so proud of you guys. I said, so let's just stand here and start shaking our heads like you.
I remember that.
And I said, you're agreeing with me, and it looks like I'm telling you some really cool stuff, like we're really serious. But this is effing awesome.
Yes,
and I said, and everybody started just shaking their head and I said, you can beat your chest a little bit, and then the guy started pimping, walking around a little bit, and they just sort of walked away from me, and it was one of the best moments of that game is to watch you guys sort of looking around like, yeah, we just whooped up on these guys.
But he telling you that before. He was like, we better not let them score. we giving everything we got.
And we didn't. And
we
that's
did
the
not.
only time Pat White did not score a touchdown in his career as a starter.
Wow.
Yeah.
That game.
Yeah, the 3 points. And that was a special day. I'm glad you asked that question.
Wow.
We've learned about Ferretville and all kinds of things.
I ain't gonna tell you no more secrets, Coach. But I remember that, you know, and I was like, man, Coach Hud was on fire that day. He was calling it, and don't you let him score. And you know what? He was like, I don't care. You would not let them score today, and we didn't do it. And so, and I remember also that week he was showing us what we was ranked at. He would always keep it real with us. Okay, guys, it would teach us, and that's we started learning. Okay, to be a great football team, you got the third down battle. You know, the run defense.
Yeah.
And we are number one run defense right now. He was proud of that. Then we had a bad game. He was like, came back. That's that one of the 30% days. Oh man, we had a bad game. I don't know, and it was bad, brutal. And so I would just say a lot of that success, especially on defense, Coach Hood.
Players,
Coach Hud,
those guys.
coming together. So
Players win games.
how did the experience going from East Carolina and Coach Hud and the East Carolina team transition to your NFL career? What was it like going from college football here, staying in Eastern North Carolina? You were drafted in the 7th round, and you're off to pro football. What was that experience like?
Oh man, it was different. I would say that was different. It was a wake up call because my first day on the OTAs, they call them first practice, and I see these guys come and meetings. They look, and I'm looking at Ryan Pickett at the time and Cullen Jenkins. They big dudes. They look older. They got gray hair and the beard. I'm like, this guy cannot move. I know I can take him out, And they walk on the field. They walk slow, and I'm like, man. But I'm seeing, different things. I'm learning that everybody come from different schools, backgrounds, so you start to pick up on it. We go on OTAs, and coach said, you better be over there first. So I did it. We over there warming up. These guys dragging out there, taking their time. They already know they made the team. The first couple plays on defense, these guys were so fast. It was so fast. They were so fast. And that's when I realized that the NFL, people said, couch potatoes, I could go out there and do that. Man, it's a difference between college and NFL. So Coach Hood, going back to college, and I'm going to go back to NFL. Coach Hood had to hide a lot of our flaws, weaknesses. And he knew our weaknesses in our defense. But most of the time in the NFL, you don't really have that many weaknesses because every guy, you can draft guys fast. And so it's a one-on-one matchups in NFL. So I have to understand I got to defeat my guy. So I'm watching my guy. How can I defeat this guy? And in college, it's not really so because you only got 3 or 4 guys that make it to the NFL. So it's a team. How can I make a play in the system I'm giving? And so NFL. So I get the coach say, "Go get ready for practice," and I tell the story all the time. I'm sitting in my locker, getting my stuff on, and all these guys are jumping in the showers, the hot tub, cold tub. They got all this things they do before practice, and the music and the guy. They just so focused on what And me, I just old school, put my stuff on. I was like, so I said, so one day I was like, why is everybody taking these showers? So I'm gonna try one day. So about 3 days in, I snuck in the shower. Took my shower before practice. Oh man, it felt. I can't tell you. Then so I started learning how to be a professional because it's a difference between collegiate and professional. The film, like you were saying, teaching you how to watch film, it was so you had to know everything. What they do on the offense, why off. Everything was you had to know football inside and out. You had to know, what's the word? Offense and defense. Not I was a defensive end for technique, but I had to know the nose. I had to know linebacker, safeties. I had to know why they walking down in coverage. Why coach says it's a man coverage, so you only got a little time. Get your hands up. Everything. It was just so much was going on at one time, and getting to the game. We'll go back to practice. One of the biggest moments I found out the difference between collegiate and professional was I got to practice early. And my coach told me to be there. And I remember Aaron Rodgers warming up. And I remember how they wanted to make sure they was detailing their feet. Let me do it over again. My feet, And I watched the running backs take the ball off, hand off from Aaron Rodgers and run 50 yards full speed. We didn't even start a practice. We haven't even warmed up yet. But he's running. And I see the receivers catch the ball, put it in one hand, put it in the other hand. They start practicing stiff arm. And I see all this, and I'm like, this is amazing. They are really, and the coach always go, perfect your craft.
That's right.
And if you're not perfecting your craft, somebody else is going to beat you out, and you're going to be out of here. And so I really learned, that's when it hit me. I was like, okay, I have to take from Belhaven, I have to be at my pinnacle every single day. It's not just on game day, but at every practice, every meeting. When coach asks me why are we doing this, I have to tell him why. you know. And I remember one play, speed the story up my rookie year. Coach goes on. This was the Tuesday meeting. On Wednesday, he goes, if we call this defense, it's a third down. You want to field for some reason, you get stuck out there, and the running back goes in motion. It's a pill rule, so you have to get up and walk out there and be over cover number 2.
Yeah.
And he said we probably won't see that. And so, how about in the game? It's a third down, and they call that defense, and we didn't even practice it, but 1 or 2 times, and I wasn't the guy that was in there. The running back gets up, walks in the flats. I get up, I'm my stance to go cover number 2. And I'm sitting there, and I was like, man, this is Matt Forte, pretty good running back. He gives me a slant move, and I was like, the quarterback throws it to him. But I almost made the deflection, but I tackled him for like 2-3 yards. And I got back to sideline, my coach like, you remember that? he's like, good job, you remember that. Because if I messed it up, they probably wouldn't have been mad. But that's the difference between a professional. If I tell you to do something on today, it better be fixed tomorrow.
Right.
So it's so much. But being a professional is very hard. And those guys are in the NFL because they are the best at what they do.
That's awesome. Then you end up from a 2-star to starting in the Super Bowl.
Oh.
Not only do you get to the Super Bowl, which that journey we could do a whole show on, you're the starter of the Super Bowl. I can't even remember. Did they announce the defense first or the offense? Were you part of the announcement when what were you thinking there in the tunnel?
See, the thing is that people don't notice. I tell the truth. I keep it real. So I wasn't supposed to start. But what happened was, you see it was going to the Super Bowl. You watch on TV, but being in it is just, when you playing, it's just a different experience. And because you see so many celebrities, the celebrities are everywhere. And I go and name so many, but you see them on the field all week through the week. So we get out there and they did a national anthem. I mean, this is Dallas' new stadium, so they got this huge TV, this huge TV right above, and this is the biggest TV. I'm not even lying to you. If you got to see it for yourself, you've never been to Dallas Cowboys Stadium. And I'm staring, and I'm like, this humongous, because we had saw it during the week, but when it was loud and it was crazy, and we on defense first. So I'm like, okay, we on defense first, and so I'm hippo package, which means that we have 50 front base defense, but if they come out in like 2 tackles, then we go to hippo. We check hippo. That means we're gonna put 4 D linemen in the game, take a corner out. So I'm on the sideline. I'm not gonna go in the game. I'm gonna rotate in, And coach is yelling, hippo, hippo. And he's right there, but it's so loud I can't hear him. He's like, and so he's like tapping his belly to give me the signal. Oh, I said, I'm running the game. I get lined up. Flozette Adams, I think, remember his name. He's I think he's a Hall of Famer now. I don't know if he made, but I'm pretty sure he is. He punches me in the face mask, and he almost breaks my jaw. I'm not making this. I had to go get to the dentist after the game because I had to get a tooth taken out because he hit me so hard. He punched me so hard, and it just jaw was like
beyond the glory. Right,
almost broke the all game. I was like. So I started. I played 2 plays, come out, and it's forever written down in history.
That's right.
Because of the hippo package. That's what it was.
Yeah. And you sacked Big Ben in the game, too. I got the picture.
Coach goes, he listen to what that's why you always listen to what people tell you. He says, Ben is he's a huge quarterback. And when you see him in person, you say, oh, he's really big. He's bigger than what I thought he was. Or what you see on TV. And so I'm going to take him down. Coach said, always go for his arm. Don't just tackle him. So I'm tackling him. And I forgot to go his arm. So I didn't sack him. But I made him throw it. I hit him. And I remember I say, wow, I almost got him. I'm going to get him next time. But Coach was happy about it because it was one of those things where, I'm out there, but I got to make something happen. And I did a good move in the guard, and I got to him and bringing him down. We all had our hands in that victory the whole year because we had so many different starters that year, so many injuries. But go ahead, Coach.
That's all. Now you're Super Bowl champion.
Mm-hmm.
You go through your NFL career, multiple stops. And then one thing we've talked about, and I had breakfast with the other day, we talked about one of the purposes of the podcast is, what is going on with athletes and stuff in mental health, and you've done it at all levels, high school, college, pro, and now you get out, suddenly that day ends where you're out of football. For you, what has been not the biggest obstacle, but where is the challenge mentally in the mental health arena that you go through as a pro athlete, and then that identity change?
And you used to hear about depression, and you hear about mental health, and if you never known a person or met a person that had that, you probably don't think it's real because you don't have it. But when you find out that it's over, when you reach that, excuse me, when you reach that point that it's over, I was depressed for 2 years, and if I didn't have the foundation, the Christian foundation, and a strong family, I contemplated suicide. I don't think I ever told anybody that.
Right.
But I thought about it. I was like, and I can see how people can do it, end it all, because here I am. It's not about the fame, but it's the game. I love the game so much.
Right.
And it's over now. What am I going to do with my life? I got money. I did right. I did well with my money, but it's the game. I want to play. That's what I'm here. I want to play. And you realize then that your phone. I remember when I played in the Super Bowl, my phone rang. I probably had 500 text messages, but when it's over, I probably had 5 text messages.
Yeah.
So you can see how it really is something.
Alone.
You're alone. That's when you find out you're alone.
That's right.
Yeah, and the only ones that you have is your family, your parents. You're the ones that your immediate family, the ones that loved you all the way anyway, before you even had all this.
Right.
And I didn't know what I was going to do, Coach. I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Did you have a resource either through the NFL, or had that ever been discussed where you knew, hey, if I'm struggling on something, I can pick the phone up, I can call this person or that person or this resource, or what would you suggest needs to be in place?
The NFL has it now, and they had it then. But growing up with 8 siblings, it was one of those things, you got to man up.
That's right.
Man up. You can't go and cry because you can't. And so I came from my background was all about being tough and strong. Mm-hmm. And I just prayed about it, and I just, stayed in the weight room, working out and trying to stay busy. When I went back to my parents' house, I was living with them, and my nephew was there. And so every day I would take my anger out on them, and I would make them work out. So I had 6 nephews at the field every day working out, and I was training them, not knowing I was going to be a coach.
Right.
Because I was still trying to stay in shape, just in case. But I had them working out every day,
right,
running. I would film videos, and they would be out there doing tire flips and drills, and I make them pull sandbags. I mean, I was killing them.
No ferrets.
No ferret. And one of my nephews couldn't even lift. I mean, I'm not lying to you. He couldn't even squat. Couldn't even bench. And now I heard he's one of the strongest guys on East Carolina football team.
Right.
But I was just beating him up every day. Like, y'all gonna, I want to train you now, and because I started realizing it was old for me. So I'm gonna give back to them. I'm gonna instill into them what, I want them to make it to be not just the NFL, but I want them to be at the best if they want to play sports. And so that's what I started doing.
That's a good point, because what you're doing, and even if in my journey in recovery and in my mental health, the number one thing I found is, where am I servicing other people? Mm-hmm. Where am I, not just, it's easy to say, well, I give back and I write a check. That's easy to do. But where am I servicing other people, mm-hmm, and making a difference? And that, believe it or not, helps you more than the people you're doing the service to.
See, I never knew that.
That's what carries me, mm-hmm, is, my service to help. It's my responsibility, of somebody who's been through the depression and recovery, mm-hmm, to help somebody else to carry on that. And that's what you're doing. And that's what makes it so powerful. But you talked about 1A, 2-star, best player in East Carolina, best player in the conference, draft pick, starts a Super Bowl, and then you throw the word suicide in there. I mean, it's such a journey.
It is.
But for you to be able to recognize that and to say that is very, very powerful. And I commend you on that. That is, it's really neat to see what you're doing and how you're servicing other people, especially what you're doing at North Pitt.
It's you'd be surprised how many people are suffering with depression and going through things. They don't have to be rich to be going through it, but something I found out is it's a lot of rich people that's doing it too.
Absolutely.
It's athletes, movie stars, actresses, artists, they struggle with depression in their everyday life.
That's right.
And so, people can smile, but you don't know what's really going on inside. And that's why you got to treat everybody right and understand that things happen. People turn to alcohol, people turn to drugs, people turn to suicide, and that's why you see something, say something, do something, help somebody else. If you see somebody struggling with their life, it's something they might be going through. I know a person that lost his mother. He never recovered. He just became an alcoholic and just went down. And people watched him for years just kill himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned God, faith, praying a lot even before you were coming to East Carolina. How much has that played a role in your life of who C.J. Wilson is?
It's been the only thing that's kept me, and it's a beautiful story. Even when I got to North Pitt, even before I got to Green Bay, I said, God, where do you want me to go? And I said, wherever you want me to go, I will go. And that phone, the Green Bay calls me, drives me. The same thing. I didn't know what God wanted me to do with my life after the football. I got married afterwards, of course. And my wife was like, where we going to live? We're going to live either, because she's from Wisconsin. I met her when I was playing for the Packers. We're going to go move, close to her parents or stay here. At that time, I don't know what to do. I'm like, well, I can go either way. I love East Carolina. I love this area, but I like that area too because it's beautiful there too. So we prayed. The next day, they asked me to come be the head coach at North Pitt. She's laughed, and we laughed. We cried a little bit. I said, see, God want me to be here. And so so far, that's where I'm at. I'm at North Pitt because God want me to be there. And I see a difference in, that community and that the team and the guys, the impact we have with all those guys. Because it's a low-income area. A lot of the guys don't come from single families. And most of the coaches on my staff have a college degree and, done well in their life. And so we every day teaching them. And the team the atmosphere is just going back up so fast. And it's a joy to be out there. We ain't got nobody fighting or cursing and, trying to, it's just all great guys that's trying to make it in life.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say, man, we've learned so much today.
Wow.
We've laughed. we've had some storied moments of reliving the past, and you're just a remarkable person, CJ. I really feel
appreciate
that the future and what you're doing is amazing. And what are your plans? Are you just kind of what is next?
You know what? See, if you go back and trace my history, my foundation, I never thought of myself as a big star. I always thought of myself as a hard worker, about the humble beginnings. And so I don't care about the fame. I never did. That's why you don't see me trying to go buy this Bentley or something like that to try to say, that's never been me. And even before the games at East Carolina, I was a star. I was the last one out. I was praying with Dwayne Harris and Linville Chose. We were the last ones to leave that locker room. And you see the guys that weren't going to play with the flags and because side coach Holt's doing, this. I didn't care about that. I knew that if Dwayne Harris knew, he knew it too. The guys that knew that they had to do what they had to do to win this game, we didn't care about all that.
That's right.
We was the last one to leave that locker room because we knew that we had to be ready to go. So that being said, I know that I don't care about the fame. I know that my life is directed by God. And so right now I'm in North Pitt coaching. I love it. My nephews there. I got 5 nephews I'm coaching. The same guys I felt make me felt better that day. I said, and maybe that was because I felt good. After I kicked I felt good. I went back home. I was smiling and everything.
That's
I was depressed that morning, but I felt good going home. I go home and get me some food now. I got them. They done sweated. They were crying. Oh, it hurts. Oh, I don't care. And so so four of the five, I actually did that when I was younger. So now I'm coaching 5 of them, and it's a joy to see these guys how they develop from such a young age. They love football, and so I love coaching. It's just a joy, but it's hard work, and I love it. But the future, I don't know. I just trust God that He'll lead me what to do, and everything will be fine. As long as I do it hard and my best, everything else will be great.
Well, North Pitt's in good hands.
Yeah, I think
if people out there that listen to this, if you want to get involved and help a program, you get a hold of C.J. Wilson at North Pitt High School.
I sure appreciate that.
They can use all the help that people in the community can give to him because he's doing something special over there.
CJ, leave us one more nugget for Coach Hud. When you see that name pop up on your phone, what's the first thing you think of?
I think of a person that's committed, and I get emotional because some of the stuff he told me. I never forgot about the story about when you think you doing right, you may pay the consequences. I can tell you so many things he told us and taught us, and I know my teammates remember because I remember all of it. And so I would say Coach Hud was pivotal. He was one of the people in my life that helped me to remember the things that you have to know, like the stories, hard work pays off. And I told him a story at breakfast. I tell the story. This is the one that when I think about Coach Hud, the first time I met him when I was a player now, not just a guy getting recruited. We had ran all summer. Golden had kicked out till all summer. It was hot. And it was hot that morning. It was hot. We just probably ran 17 110s. If anybody know what that is, you know how hard it was. And I'm like, I don't even know how good we are. I'm looking around. I don't know if we good or not. I don't know. East Carolina was losing before Coach Hudson them got there. They was losing bad. I'm like, are we good? Are we still sorry? I don't know. You got big guys, but I don't know. Coach Hud comes up after we get done running and said, come here, guys. And he said, he was like, I've been watching you all summer. And you know what, guys? You look great. He said, you look great. And I said, wow, we do look great.
You did.
Yeah. And see, he was already like programming our minds. And he programmed us to be great because he told us we were great. And we believed it was great. And that's what the start of it. And I was like, we are great. And we're going to beat everybody, And so it went on, and that was my first time. And that's who he is. Always been the Harley, oh, my God. And he always been that guy. He talked to everybody, the entire team, offense, defense, special teams. He would mess with those guys. He was always messing with everybody, He would be out there messing with the kickers sometimes. You got to do better, man. Kick the ball. Yeah. And
that's the first play of defense.
The first, and so everybody loved Coach Hud. Everybody loved Coach Hud. He was a great. I'm not lying to you. You think about Skip as Jordan, and you think about Coach Hud as Pippen. Without Pippen, there ain't no Jordan, and that's how I always see it because he did a great job. So I love Coach Hud. Always will love him, and he's a great man to have around too.
Well, you were great when you wore the purple and gold, and you were even better today. I think telling stories. And Hud, you're great at getting these guests on the podcast and the show. And the next person's going to have big shoes to fill for many reasons because your shoes are really big.
Yeah.
But thank you for being here, CJ.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Man, it was fantastic.
You were great, CJ. Thank you.
This is the Greg Hudson Show.